beautiful people. That's me too, you know. Welcome back to another soulful session of Mondays with Mondane. And this is where we dive deep into the rhythm of life. I like saying love and liberty. And of course, I'm your host. You know who I am, right? Edie Mondane. And I'm ready to groove through the beats of the week with you. O.J. Simpson, you know, he passed away, and now we got this whole thing again about whether or not he was right, whether or not he was wrong, whether he did it, whether he didn't do it. I don't know. The guy's dead, and I feel sorry for his family and his kids and grandkids and all that kind of good stuff. Sue Litterman is a good football player, and I hope he goes to heaven. But today, and I'm talking about this a lot, it seems, but it's really important that we talk about this, especially in communities like the communities I've grown up in, black communities, the last informed and the first harmed. You know those people? Well, we're going to be discussing the critical importance of defending equity and inclusion in our communities, right here in the good old US of A. So grab your Kool-Aid and Spam and your crackers and kick back, and you might get some hot wings. And let's get into it. Voting rights. Okay, let's start with the heartbeat of democracy, voting rights. Imagine this. Listen, a community where every voice is heard, every voice counts, and every person is empowered to shape their own futures. Hallelujah. But the reality is often much different than that. Take, for instance, the recent voter ID laws in several states that disproportionately, you hear what I said, disproportionately, poor folks, impact black voters. Well, picture this. Mary, a single mother working two jobs, struggling to find time to obtain a valid ID in the midst of her hectic schedule. Well, these are barriers, and they aren't just inconveniences. They're systemic hurdles designed to suppress the black vote. It's the truth, or I don't make this stuff up. Education, equity. Equity and a good education. Now let's turn to this piece of it. Education, once again, a big cornerstone of opportunity. Consider the disparities in school funding between predominantly white and black neighborhoods. Think of Jamal, Gary, a bright student from an underfunded school, lacking access to advanced courses and extracurricular activities that could propel him potentially to college and beyond. I see that a lot. These inequalities aren't just statistics, people. They're called roadblocks to generational progress. You've heard it over and over and over again, but we don't do a lot about it. Healthcare access, Obamacare. Next up. Healthcare, always next up. A fundamental right to often, and much far too often out of reach. Reflect on the maternal mortality rates amongst black women, shockingly higher than their white counterparts. Now, this pregnant thing, here we go, pregnancy. Envision Sarah, just take a look at her. A pregnant black mother facing limited access to quality prenatal care. This increases her risk during childbirth, and it just gives her an all-around feeling of non-inclusion. These health disparities aren't just numbers, people. They're life and death injustices. Finally, economic empowerment. It's the truth. The pathway to self-sufficiency and prosperity it's worth talking about. Look at the hurdles faced by black entrepreneurs. I'm a black entrepreneur, and I know that I've had huge problems in securing loans and investment capital in comparison to my white counterparts who seem to be, well, I won't go into that right now. Meet David. He's a budding entrepreneur with a brilliant business idea, got a great business plan, but struggling to secure funding due to biased lending practices. Biased lending practices. Say that 3 times. Biased lending practices. Okay. These economic barriers aren't just setbacks, people. They're systemic injustices that limit economic mobility. Now, there's some pros and cons that I want to talk about. Breaking this whole scenario down just a little bit further. Here we go, the big one again, VR, voter rights. What are the pros? Political empowerment. Can you say that with me? It empowers you politically, I guess. Protecting voting rights empowers black people, and it gives power to black communities, black power. And it enables us to elect representatives who prioritize their needs and their interests. Well, I can't say their needs, because I guess I'm black too, I think. Our needs and our interests. And then we get some influence over policy. With voting rights secured, the black community can influence policies related to civil rights. Don't start talking about that tonight. Criminal justice reform, economic equity, healthcare access, and education. These are things that we've got to talk about. Even though we seem to overtalk them, we undertalk them, and especially right now. It's historically significant. Voter rights have for black Americans. This represents progress in the fight for equality and justice, so they say. We have to do our due diligence. Civic engagement is important. Access to voting encourages us to be civically engaged, and it promotes activism and community participation, and it strengthens the democratic process. We've got to be involved. These are the cons. Voter suppression. Threats of voter suppression, such as restrictive voter ID laws and voter purges, can disproportionately affect black voters, undermining their ability to exercise their democratic rights, okay? Disenfranchisement. It just takes us totally apart from the process and just isolates us. It's creating barriers to the political process, including limited polling locations and long wait times. These things disenfranchise black communities and reduce voter turnout. You don't feel like being bothered. The political polarization is incredible. Voting rights issues can lead to partisan divides, hindering bipartisan efforts to protect and expand voting access. Now, we've got to take action. I've said all of that. Go back and look at it. And we've got some little notes for you at the bottom of the screen. We've got to do something about it. What can we do? There's legislative protections. Enact federal legislation, such as the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. Stop for a minute. John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. Look it up. You got a computer. We have to restore and strengthen voter rights, people. Protections include pre-clearance for states with a history of voter suppression. We've got to pay attention to it. We've got to push it out there, and we've got to talk about it. Bring it up. Nobody wants to hear you, but bring it up anyway. We got to be educated. Take the time to read. Implement robust voter education campaigns in your neighborhoods, at your jobs, to inform black communities about voting rights, registration procedures, and early voting options. Who wants to do that? But it's important, people. Everybody's got a right to live. And if you want to live, these things are important to you, and we've got to take part. We've got to address these barriers. We've got to address the voting rights barriers. We've got to address the voter ID barriers and the requirements and limited polling locations by implementing measures to increase accessibility and reduce disenfranchisement. That word again, disenfranchisement. You get totally alienated from the process, people, and they don't mind doing it. There are some setbacks for African Americans. Big setbacks for me are legal challenges. We've got to find out what those are and support legal challenges against discriminatory voting laws and practices to ensure fair and equitable elections for everybody, all of us, you and me, both. Creating economic opportunity. It don't happen unless you create it and unless you get out in the streets and you fight for it. Remember, we shall overcome. Selma Bridge, marching. We don't have to march anymore. Just go to your computer, look it up, and invite yourself to the ingratiating presence of your Congress people, job training programs, and access to capital. These kind of things empower Black individuals and communities to build wealth and financial stability. I can't say this enough now, we've got to be involved. Entrepreneurship is the way of the world, a way of America. Support for Black-owned businesses, we've got to ramp it up. And unless we do it, nobody else is. Entrepreneurship can spur economic growth. Main factors in America's history of success. It creates jobs and contributes to community development. And again, it highlights and showcases your voice, your talent, and it gives us a taste of your vision. Woo, I'm getting there. This is a long laundry list, but we've got to do it. We've got to reduce inequality. Economic empowerment. These initiatives can help reduce income and wealth disparities. Now, these kind of things address systemic barriers that have historically disadvantaged Black Americans. We're always on the back end. We're always at the back of the bus. Get up, go to the front. And you're going to have to do that through education and skills development. Everybody's not cut out for college, but you can get into a vocation program somewhere, invest in education. Hone your skills, develop something in your life. What are you good at? Programs like these can improve employment prospects and career advancement opportunities for all of us, especially those of us who are left behind. There are structural barriers that persist in our community. Discrimination in hiring, practice and access to affordable housing. Oh my God, do you know how much it is to rent a 2-bedroom house in Portland, Oregon? You can't do it. These things can limit economic mobility. And most of all, they kind of can opportunities for marginalized Black and brown, Indian, and otherwise Hispanic communities. The wage gaps are incredible. And unequal pay contributes to this big hurdle that we see in the economic equality factor, and particularly for Black women and minority workers. There is a road to access. There are resources that are available, but you've got to check it out. Go to the Urban League. Look at their website. Go to the NAACP and look at their website. Limited access to financial resources, including loans and investment capital, the Black Chamber of Commerce, go to their website, can impede entrepreneurship and business growth like you would never believe. This happens right here in our communities, and it's available, but you got to look it up. These are some of the things that we've got to do right now. There's got to be equitable policies. We've got to implement policies that promote economic equality, including fair wages, equal employment opportunities, and inclusive business practices. Inclusivity. I say that wrong all the time. I say inclusivity. Inclusivity. You know what? Be civil about the darn thing. Give the brother some money. Access to capital, increased capital for Black-owned businesses. Post Shines is a Black-owned business. Auntie Chintantes is a Black-owned business. Adorn Electric is a Black-owned business. And we deserve to know about government grants and low-interest loans and investment incentives. We are the first harmed and the last informed, so you got to find the information. There are job training programs out there. Call Celebration Tabernacle. Get a hold of Robin Gorton for the Teach Me to Fish program. They'll kind of, it's an at-risk program on one part of it for your youth that are having some trouble making it. Call them and see what's up. Expand job training and skills development programs that are targeted at Black individuals. Make sure that if you know something about an opportunity to pass it along. Focus on industries with high growth potential and demand that our presence be in the building. We've got to address systemic barriers that aren't just... This isn't just a figment of your imagination. Systemic barriers to economic opportunity have existed in the black community forever. Discriminatory practices in housing and finance through regulatory reforms and enforcement of anti-discrimination laws, it's been in place forever. Wait a minute, it's time for us to start looking at these things all over again. This is 2024, not 1965, but you think it was 1964. There's methods and places for actions to take place, people. To turn the tide on injustice, we've got to act strategically and we've got to act collectively. It is up to you. It is up to me. Advocate with organizations like the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and the ACLU Voting Rights Project. These are the two hottest engines going. The NAACP Legal Defense Fund and ACLU Voting Rights Project, those are our two biggest contributors to change right now. We've got to host community workshops on voter education and registration. Go to your fraternities, sororities, churches, and any club that you're invited, that you're part of, and ask them to begin to make some noise about these issues. We've got to be advocates. Find law firms that will provide legal assistance to individuals that are facing voting barriers. Help people, dig it out. Some folks need help. We've got to push for legislative reform at every government level, from the mayor's office to the governor's office to the congressmen to the senators. We got to get involved. Well, believe it or not, there is economic opportunity, but you got to get involved and learn where there are established small business support centers in black communities. If you really want to get your idea off the table, find out who's doing that. Like I said, go to the Urban League's website. Go to the NAACP website. Go to Jobs for Justice website. And you've got to be insistent on developing financial literacy programs tailored to black needs and to black individuals. This could be set up as early as high school. And in every college center, there ought to be something that points to the Black American Chamber of Congress to help you get involved and stuff like that. I mean, think about this. It's you that has to move forward. It's me that has to move forward. And you got to make some space for your grandchildren and their children and et cetera. We've got to partner with educational institutions for job training initiatives. What are the people and the big corporations doing to make training available to you? Advocate for equitable policies and increase access to capital. All you folks that are business savvy, all you people that are entrepreneurs, make it happen. A good place to start, once again, would be the Black Chamber of Congress. Look it up. The address is going to be on the bottom of the screen, but I can't dial the number for you, and I can't look it up for you, so we have got to get involved. The 2024 election and beyond is popping. It's not just a moment, people. It's a movement. And it's going to affect the next 20 years in our American history, this election coming up. So it's really important to pay attention, and it's most important to get involved. This is our chance to demand change, to shape policies, and especially those policies that uplift every voice and bridge all of the gaps of democracy in this good old United States of America. Inequity, inequality, inclusivity, all of those buzzwords, they've got to become constant. They've got to be on your mind. It's important not just to you, but to everybody else. Let's see. I'm getting ready to wrap this thing up, especially if I can read a little bit faster here. I cheat a little bit by looking at a teleprompter. Some of you already know that, but it's cool. These kind of issues have plagued our communities for far too long. And until we do something about it, until we get involved, until you get tired of listening to people like me go on and on about stuff that we don't really want to deal with, it's not going to change. So the beat goes on. It's up to us to keep the rhythm of democracy alive, and we got to make it kick. Let's do this together. So until next time, stay groovy, stay woke, and keep spreading that love by insisting on a more just and inclusive future. I want to do special shout outs right now to our sponsors. Post Shines, not just a restaurant, but an institution, Black-owned institution, and it's located at 8139 North Denver, right here in the Kenton District, and you can expect the best soul food this side of the Willamette. There's Aunties and Tonties daycare services, the best child care I've ever seen, with good old-fashioned love and hugs and cookies and all that kind of good stuff. There's Adorn Electric, another Black-owned business. They really light up our lives, and they're lighting up my life right now. I'm grateful for their support on this podcast. You can visit me right here on Sunday mornings at Celebration Tabernacle, another Black-owned institution owned by God in Portland, Oregon. All right, getting ready to go home now. But listen, before I do that, I need to do a special thank you to our production team. Dion, Robin, Andy, and Paul. Not one of them is bigger than the other, and they all stand tall. Guess what? I need you to hit those notification buttons and get involved. We got Facebook, right? And then we got that other thing. What's it called? YouTube. Well, that's what it's called anyway. So get on there and watch your buddy. Go to edmondenay.org and edmondenay at ctoregon.org, okay? One more time. It's going to be at the bottom of the screen, edmondenay at ctoregon.org. I want to know if you want to come on and just, maybe you got a gift to blow your nose, or you want to talk about something, you got goldfish you want to highlight. I don't know. Come on and talk to me. So until next time, stay cool, stay popping, and do locking. I'm trying to be cute. See you later. Bye-bye. Hey, gang, I've got exciting news. I've just finished my memoirs, and writing them was, wow, a roller coaster, but I'm glad that I did it for me and for you, and it's a way to get to know Edie Montanay just a little bit better. What you thought you knew, you didn't know. It's called From Maladies to Melodies, growing up in the South St. Louis projects, and what God has done in my life even to this day. I'm excited to share it with you. Please look for it coming real soon.
Hey, it's time for you to come to Post Shine. Check out that catfish sandwich. Oh my goodness, is that the shrimp po' boy? Man, look at that chocolate chip cake. Man, I need to get over to Post Shines at 8139 North Denver right now, because this food looks delicious. Or call if you'd like, 503-978-9000. And don't miss it, you'll be sorry.
In times gone past, we find ourselves making excuses so that people reminded, ooh, I've got to get home and tend to the brand new missus. I need some time alone. Can't this wait until I finish texting on my phone?